Hello and welcome into another edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hickson. I'm your lead beat writer for the Arizona State Sun Devils on SI and your host of the daily Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. And I'm so grateful to be joining you on this Thursday afternoon. We are roughly 3 hours removed from 3.5 hours removed from Arizona State practice, officially wrapping up day two of three this week in front of media in week three. After this week, we will have 2 more weeks of spring practice remaining uh, before it officially wraps up. I believe it will be done right around the time the NFL draft is set to kick off. And we've already seen a lot in week two of full pads being worn by the team. It's been very, very fascinating to see underclassmen at different positions step up and perform very, very strongly. It's been interesting to talk to Brian Carrington more this spring. We've talked to Brian Carrington more than we have either Coach Arroyo or Coach Brian Ward. So, been a very interesting spring. More variety of coaches and players that we were getting to talk to. And Thursday was a very, very fascinating day, just in general. Uh, I kind of wanted to talk about three or four major observations that I had in today's practice that probably are getting covered by others, but I want to bring some of this into the fold as well. So, number one, this was undoubtedly the most physical practice that Arizona State has had the entire spring. Both fields were marked with very chippy play about 5 minutes apart from one another. Um, Nothing went overboard, but there was definitely a sense of fire and competition in the air. Players were very fired up. It was a just a very physical practice. Running backs were putting their heads down. DBs weren't afraid to create contact with receivers. The quarterbacks were largely not untouched, obviously, but they even Cutter Boley scrambled a couple of times. He wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. And overall, just exactly the practice that you want to see from a competition standpoint. They were obviously as locked in as they have been all spring in the fire and desire department. And that's a positive sign for Coach Dillingham, who's looking to build a program in that model. The second thing that I really wanted to discuss was, like I said, the underclassmen had a really, really, really good day once again. Uh, the two players in particular that really jumped off the page to me were redshirt freshman quarterback Cameron Dyer and uh, redshirt freshman receiver Uriah Nellums. Dyer, we all know he redshirted last season, and I've been a fan of his throughout the last year or so. But I've also acknowledged that he probably has the highest uphill climb to win the starting quarterback job. But it looks as if he has seized the day, he seized the opportunities that he's been given, and he made the most impressive throws of the day in large. Uh, I mean, everybody made impressive throws during the day, but I think if I were to count like five most impressive throws of the day, four of them were probably from Cameron Dyer. Uh, The one in particular that really blew me away was he threw a ball, he threaded the needle between two defensive backs. I forgot who they were, but right to Jaron Hamilton about 20 to 25 yards downfield. It was an absolute heater and hit him right in his hands. And that was just an incredible throw. And I'm sure that that's going to be revisited on film. Uriah Nellums, he continues to make plays on the outside. I mean, when you have a 6'4" frame like Uriah, when you play quarterback, when you have those unique skill sets, it's easy to it's eventually going to translate, and it has for him. Everybody that's been following me for a long time knows that I am one of the biggest proponents of Uriah Nellums and his ability to be a star for Arizona State. And I think we continue to see that star level talent every single day. Although he might not see the field that much with how stacked the Arizona State wide receiver room is this season, he will have a chance to see the field, I'm sure. And I asked Coach Dillingham about it, and he raved about how far he's come from last year to this year. Champ Westbrook's another one. I mean, he's technically an upperclassman since he's a redshirt sophomore, but he looked very impressive at tackle today. And uh, Daquan Dunn and Jalen Williams at cornerback, they continue to look impressive. That cornerback room could be even better this year compared to last year. And last year, you had Keith Abney, Rodney Bimage, and Jaden Robinson. Even if Robinson was having a little bit of a down year, still a very talented room, but this year might even surpass that. The third thing that I really wanted to talk about was how Cutter Bully was the last player out on the field at practice today. Um, the Kentucky transfer obviously wants to be great. He continues to become more and more comfortable in the Arizona State system under Dillingham and Arroyo. Uh, I think that a lot of the concerns that fans and media had when he committed are still a little prevalent. I think that the the good thing is that he's 85-15 or 90-10 in terms of positive plays and questionable plays. I'd still say that even with his struggles. The hope is eventually that the big plays he makes will add so much value to the offense that even when he makes a mistake, it won't matter quite as much. Kind of thinking about in the same vein of a Josh Allen who is notorious for committing 15 plus turnovers a year in the NFL, but the positive value that he creates with his rocket arm, with his legs, far outweighs the mistakes that he makes. And I think that this is what they're getting to with Cutter. And I think Cutter being out there, being the last one out on the field at practice, just shows how much he wants it. And I think he's still in the driver's seat. I think he really has to lose the starting job. And I've I've been pretty impressed with what I've seen from him over the last week or so. And for the last thing, I really wanted to talk about uh, Coach Brian Carrington, just how much he has really embraced his new role as assistant head coach, how he really isn't afraid to take a dive into the different position groups, how he's not afraid to answer the tough questions. Man, he's one of the best interviews that I've had during the spring, and there's, as you know, Arizona State is full of great interviews on the coaching staff and on the roster. But Brian Carrington just brings something unique to the table. He's real, he's relatable, he is a hard worker. He wears Phoenix Suns hats for those ASU fans that are Phoenix Suns fans as well. That should add brownie points. But at the end of the day, Kenny Dillingham has put in all stops to keep Brian Carrington around as long as he possibly can, and Arizona State fans should hope that that's absolutely the case. The Sun Devils recruiting operations, the passing game, and everything in between are in great hands under Coach Carrington, and it will continue to be as long as he is around, um, and hopefully after as well. But that's really all I had for today in terms of discussing key practice topics. Uh, Should be back on Saturday night to check out Arizona State's first scrimmage of the spring. That will be extremely fun to cover and hear from Coach Dillingham after. Until then, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast, and I will see you with another episode tomorrow. Thank you so much.